Hello, this is the Panzer Kampfwagen 8 mouse from COBI. This is a roughly 900 part set, and the very first thing that I need to do here is establish some scale that most of you are familiar with. There you go. It's a big old tank. Big old tank. It's a very awe-inspiring thing. Always was, always probably will be in real life. Even though it was a failure as a project and would have continued to be a failure in real life as a project if World War II had continued on, because it just could not perform. But it was kind of a boring looking thing from the outside. Not a whole lot of detail relative to other fighting vehicles, because it was just all armor, all ridiculously thick armor. COBI does a pretty good job with their small army series in general of getting major details, replicated with some good amount of accuracy. The build of this was pretty straightforward. COBI has a nice range of parts, many of which I'm personally not familiar with because I just haven't built a lot of their sets, but they allow them to create some interesting shapes. Very few studs are actually showing on the outside of this, thanks to their wide variety of types of tiles of different shapes. The one thing that I don't like about this is just the shape of the mantlet. Oh yeah, and of course their crazy figure heads. But the mantlet just doesn't have the right amount of fullness, I think, around this corner here. I wish that more of the front was continued around, if they had extended off some of the forward build of it to create just a little more completion there. So just a little bit two-stepped, I think. But the rest of the small details, I think, are done pretty nicely. This does use a handful of stickers for just optional decorations, and this is actually done in kind of a co-brand with World of Tanks from wargaming.net. So they give you a bunch of the emblems, the insignias that you can apply to the tanks in-game there. But I've put just a minimal number of them on there. Like I said, the build was pretty straightforward. It's rather solid inside. They don't put any real effort into creating a nice interior for these things. They are designed for display. They're designed to be looked at from the outside and admired. They do have a little bit of play ability with the turret, of course, being able to spin around. This is actually quite loose here. I could have used a little bit of friction in that, but you can also raise and lower the main weapons. And it has tank treads that roll pretty properly. I really like the treads that COBI makes. I mean, this is on a very hard surface here, but there's enough mass to the whole vehicle to still be able to move those. These are nice hard pieces that are well formed, and they're very consistent from piece to piece. They have the correct number of road wheels, 12 on either side, and those have actual rubber tires on them to absorb just a little bit of the shock and to ensure good traction between them and the tracks, so everything rolls pretty smoothly. The horizontal dimensions of this are pretty good, but I think it could have used wider tracks. But I think this is the widest set that they make. So they went for a little bit of a compromise there, which totally makes sense. It doesn't need to have a specific set of tracks designed just for this one model. I think overall it works out pretty well. This has just two spots where you can get into the interior and or pose a figure. First, they've got the driver's compartment, just a little hatch that opens up, and there's just a small ledge just inside of there to allow you to pose a figure. It's just plain studs. I mean, this is actually very solid on the inside. It has some hollow areas, but it's, like I said, it's really straightforward with just regular bricks being used in there to fill up the space. And then this is a nicer hatchback here. They actually have a pair of them. I forgot about that. These are two separate ones, but that's what it looks like with a figure just standing in there. He's actually attached to the studs down below. You can put another one next here, but it only includes one single figure in the set. I personally feel that one figure is more than enough because it's just really weird looking. The COBI style for their minifigures is odd. I'm sure some folks like them and kind of appreciate the style. I've gotten used to it, but to me, it just just looks weird and creepy. Pretty decent printing for the torso though, and these do have respectable articulation with independent joints for the two legs, and there's also waist articulation on these, so you can move them side to side. Otherwise, you know, movable wrists, and you can turn the head back and forth, and the hat can also be removed, which just exposes a single stud up on top. There's no print on the back of this guy. Thanks to the co-branding deal with wargaming.net, they actually give you a code on the back of the instruction sheet to allow you to get a little bonus in-game, but as I understand it, that bonus code will actually only work with the PC version, which doesn't help me any because I've only played on console. The kit's not bad though. The level of quality of parts from COBI remains good, and the instructions are clear. All the parts were there, nothing was wonky, you know, everything went together as expected, so I'm pretty happy with what I've gotten. And now that I have a mouse, I can use it to dwarf other things. Look at that. Well, that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to get to work on my next video, so I'll talk to you again soon.